Welcome to Minority Focus. I'm your host, Jimmie Moore. A lot of people come on the show. A lot of people, right? but the show has a lot of people come on, and I'm never happier to have guests, I don't think, than more Rich Abraham. What up, Rich?
How you doing, man?
Tell me then. Well, boy, I told you. What's going? Globetrotter.
No.
Richard Abraham, what you doing all the way up in New Hampshire, man?
Hey, following that baby gypsy girl of mine, man. She graduated in May from Northern Kentucky University.
Wow.
And a few months prior to that, she auditioned, had an open audition for. They do these things. These theater companies across the country, they have these open auditions, and then, if that's your thing, you go and you audition. If they like you, they hire you. Yeah. For wherever, whether it's Disney, whether it's a cruise ship.
So you got a shot at Disney, a cruise ship?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm pulling personally for the cruise ship.
I get a tip of this little finger to be on a Disney cruise ship.
Yeah, because the parents they get a real good rate on that. So I'm secretly always pulling for that audition on the.
She was in Los Angeles.
Yeah, back in 2008, she was on that Glee project the first season. And she was in Long Beach for over a month, and so she has really been emerged in her craft. She's learned a lot, and that's reflective in the directors that she's worked with. She comes prepared, and whenever you and I both know that whenever you're prepared for whatever it is you're doing, you're easy to work with. Yeah. Because you don't have to spend a lot of time trying to get a person up to speed. Absolutely. And they've already, so that's to her credit. She works hard, man, and we took the trip to New Hampshire, and the trip was eventful. We had some video in the car.
Gotta see it.
We had some video.
I wish you had some clips, man.
No, the clips that I'm talking about, we deleted. Because my wife was,
Cynthia,
she was driving and, so it was stressed. So, but anyway, we got there. Oh man, Meredith, New Hampshire. It was beautiful. It was just great.
I saw pictures when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That I'm not forgotten. What a beautiful.
I'll tell you what. There was a little harbor restaurant where people were out on the patio eating, and we were just walking by, and I walked past, and I turned and I looked out over this lake. Lake Winnipesaukee, I think it was. It's the largest one. Yeah. And these mountains, man, purple mountains, majesty, all of that. I couldn't help it, man. I just turned around and people were eating on the patio out there, and I just said, "Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt your meal, but patriotically, I'm just moved by that sight." So I went on and did America the Beautiful right there, man. It was crazy. It was crazy.
That would have been the inspiration. Like
it was
when I was on the way to Alaska, down at snow caps and mountains or whatever. Right. I remember thinking, how great thou art.
Yeah. I got a little misty, man. I'm looking, I'm thinking, man, this has to be the motivation.
Awesome. So. I'd love to have her on the show, man, to talk to her. I think the most inspiring thing that happens in this show is when I do shows with kids.
Yeah.
Not kids so much, but young people.
Yeah. Who
about something. I met a lady once whose daughter is or was teaching English in China somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I asked her about, so next time she comes home, please have her come out and talk so these kids can see where you can go, what you can do. And I said, it's amazing. Nobody knows about her doing that. This lady said, well, see, I don't talk my business. I don't tell my business. The first thing I thought was, it ain't your business, it's hers. And why hide this special something that somebody does, that kid out there looks at, man, wow, I bet I could do that.
Yeah, I think sometimes we miss it. Matter of fact, that's a pretty good segue. I had on you designed a T-shirt a few years ago. It was it's not about me. Right. I had that T-shirt on yesterday.
Is that right?
Yeah, and And sometimes we miss it. It's not about us, man. It's all about how you build in other folks' lives. And, you know, if you're going to leave a legacy, that's what you want, not how much money you accumulated, but what did you do with it, you know? And so Mickey will be home, hopefully. She's moving to Auburn, New York in August. She'll be there for a year, but she's working in the school system. She got hired by Merry-Go-Round Theater Company, so she's on that school schedule. So she's home over the break. If things work out, we'll try to get her out of here.
Oh man, that would be a blessing. She's not married yet or anything.
No.
Let me get my knee ready now.
No,
I'm gonna get down on one knee and see if
she's got a boyfriend though that's stalking her like an all-pro DB. You know, he's kind of hard to shake.
Well, but she ain't seen the kids yet. You know what I'm saying? Since he grew his white beard.
No, Wes is a cool guy. He's a cool guy.
I'm sure.
He's a theater major also, and so he's a good guy.
We are the people don't like to think about it. I think about it a lot. We are the products of our upbringing, what we see, what we're exposed to when we're kids.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But sometimes.
I agree. There's, you know, that's the base, I think. You think about the time that you really had control over your kids. Yeah. That's when they were little, you know. Man, once they go out, and if you choose to, you know, they go out to school, and they have lunch with Bebe, and they come home and they're doing some things. You're like, whoa, where'd that come from? Bebe did it.
I used to tell my ex-wife all the time when kids would do things and she'd go bananas. I'd always say, honey, remember you were young once. You might have done that. We thought about doing it or whatever. I might have done it. You know, don't forget that.
Yeah.
And let that bring about that measure of understanding and compassion that helps you deal with them appropriately about it, instead of going to.
Well, that sounds real good, Jimmy.
Wait a minute.
But it's like disciplining children. I think, and I remember with my oldest daughter, something had happened, and I said, well, you know, you're gonna get it. And the last thing, what are you gonna do? You're gonna whip your kids, man. You got girls, man. So I really didn't want to do it. And she told me, she goes, well, I'm not going to cry. She was totally missing it because I said, sweetheart, if I wanted to make you cry, I could do it, right? But this isn't to hurt you. This is to correct a behavior, right? So I'm not out to like just beat you. That's not it. Yeah. I'm not angry. But we have to correct this behavior.
Right.
So, you know, it's parenting, man, to do it right. And Cindy and I talk about this all the time. It is hard.
Tell me about it.
It is hard, man.
Tell me about it.
You know, you love your kids, but sometimes you can't be their friend.
Jackie was voice controlled.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan with a string,
right,
if necessary. Poor Angela. I talked to my sister on the phone, and me and Angela would be about something.
Right.
And my sister would say, Jimmy, don't whoop her. Yeah, I am too.
Yeah.
But it all depends. I want to move. I need to move.
Okay, let's do it.
The world tripping out, man. Done tripped out.
Yeah.
They've been saying that for hundreds and hundreds of years.
There's a lot of things going on.
We got another look at it, though.
It's a lot of things going on, and it causes you to pause and just kind of sit back and turn your head a little bit. I mean, whether in this country, whether it's abroad, it's a
toss-up. Do a particular.
Okay, let's take Black Lives Matter. Let's just jump right into that. Which lives are you talking about? I mean, are you talking about Black Lives Matter, or are you talking about those lives that are being just totally destroyed in Chicago? When you look at those stats, man, it's what, 50 murders. You got 300 people being shot. Are those the Black lives you're talking about? Or are you talking about the Black lives that in New York City, more black babies are aborted than being born? Are those the Black lives you're talking about? Or is it just the Black lives that are being impacted when there is a white police officer? Because I haven't seen any protests on the south side of Chicago.
I've been real hesitant,
right,
to talk about it to a lot of people.
Yeah, well,
But you gotta, what's real is real.
Wait, is this the barbershop? Is this the barbershop?
It's a barbershop.
Talk, man.
To be perfectly honest, the first thing I've thought in a couple of cases of young black men getting shot and killed by police officers, the first thing is, what an awful thing to happen.
Yeah.
Second,
Right.
if your mama whooped your rear end a time or two when you was growing up, you wouldn't have done that. That wouldn't have happened. Richard, come on, man. My son was a gentle giant, and he was just that wasn't no gentle giant when that man took his stuff and then backed him off when he said something. Give me a break today.
Yeah. You would think, reasonable thinking people sit down and you look at this whole situation. Probably, if that young man in Ferguson, Missouri had not been killed in that situation, you got to think the road that he was on, eventually something would have happened to that guy. Because you go in and like you said, you bully this shop owner to take what you want. You've already set the standard. This is your lifestyle. This is what you're doing. So you look at that, and then my grandma used to say this all the time. Who's his mama? I mean, she used to say, you see a kid falling out in the floor, screaming. First thing my grandma would say, who's his mama? Yeah. And I'm not trying to put a woman in the kitchen, and all that kind of things, but the point you made, you can't get past in either situation. It comes down to personal responsibility. You have to be responsible for what you're responsible for.
This morning on the news, this very morning, you may have already heard it, an unruly kid in kindergarten or whatever, first, second grade, who has...
it was ADHD.
Okay, cop handcuffed him.
Right.
Because the kid was kicking him or whatever. And all the commentators that are coming on saying, you don't handcuff a kid with this illness or any kid for that matter. And I'm still waiting, and I'm going to be watching to hear somebody say, instead you...
Yeah, I watched that. And working in the school system, you have a resource officer, and that was the guy that was in charge of the, taking the kid out of the class or whatever was going on. Now, here's the thing about that, Jimmy. The kid was 8 years old, 9 years old. You gotta think. You gotta use some reasonableness here now. If the child is threatening another child, or if the child is attacking me, then I have to do things, first of all, to keep that from happening. All right, so if you got to restrain a child and that's going on, that's typically policy. But if the kid is you got to find another way, man. You have to find another way. The kid was handcuffed up around his elbows, and he's crying. He's calling mama and bucking around in the seat. That goes viral on TV, man. That's not going to fare well. That's not going to. For sure. So you got to figure out a way to handle that situation a little different. And I think the reason that the school system is being questioned about that is just because of that scene.
Okay, well, I'm not going to put an answer on you, but in that particular situation, you got to find another way. What would be your way?
Well, if I were just knowing how I am, okay, we're in a room with the kid, doors closed. I'm taking you out of that situation because I don't want you to hurt yourself or anybody else. So I got the kid in there. Now, you can do whatever. You want to turn flips, throw books, go ahead. We're going to wait this thing out until mama comes here. I'm not, now, if he turns and starts to try to attack me, you know what? I'm going to hold the kid.
Hold him.
I'm just going to hold him right here.
That's what I was
I'm 6'3", 260, man. I'm 8-year-old, I'm holding him here. Yeah. Not trying to talk, not trying to hurt him. Whole time talking to him.
Calm down, son.
Calm down, son. It's going to be okay. Maybe it's not all your fault. It's not, it's.
That's what I'm talking about.
But here's the thing that I noticed about that story. The reporter, the lady that was over, I don't know, student personnel or whatever, she said that you can't basically hold a kid responsible for an act that is caused by their disability. So this kid was ADHD, right? So his disability caused the action that he was.
Well, what about the kid whose actions are caused by how his people let him carry on at home?
Was that a disability?
I guess.
Right. Some people may say yes.
I guess.
Some people may say yes. You know, some people may some people can maybe make that argument.
It is. Thank you.
You know, I mean, think about it. Who's your first teacher?
Yeah.
Your parents. I mean, so you're not taught, then you're gonna do what comes naturally.
Just a whole lot of difference, man. My mom taught school 39 years.
Yeah.
My sister 37 years. She taught me in one school, 1 year.
Right.
And she said something to a young girl, and the girl laid out, gave her one of them looks. Mm-hmm. My mom said, "Take your eyes off me, honey. Take your eyes off me, honey." That girl put her eyes down too. And I have, to this day, that girl and all the other kids in my city respect my mother and remember her fondly.
Right.
Because she taught them. Didn't do I think I might have told you before, that year she taught me, I was the only one the whole year to get it, man.
Yeah.
She lit me up.
Yeah, some people will look at that, may say, you don't want, it's a difference. When you're interacting, we teach the girls all the time, you look a person straight in the eye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
But then I remember being caught up in some mess at home, and then I want to shoot that look at my pops or my grandma. See, that's a different look. That's I'm getting ready to buck your authority look. You don't look at me. So you know what that means, right? So you're gonna look away. You don't want to hold eye contact more than 2.5 seconds.
Who was that comedian that did that skit about getting his sister's kids, and the littlest one is the toughest one?
Oh, Bernie Mac.
Bernie Mac.
Yeah.
And he confronts her about something. She looks him up and down.
And he said, "What he say?
Hey, what you gonna do? Bust the move."
You see what he say? I know what that look means.
Yeah.
Look means you want to do something. I know. Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna move with this thing. Same-sex marriages.
Yeah.
The healthcare system. Iran. For those people who believe anything about the scriptures.
Right.
Revelation says that there will come a day when everybody will raise their hand against Israel, and then look for things to happen. Mm-hmm. It's happening.
Well, let's rewind it to the same-sex marriages. It's interesting to me. We have a system that was set up years and years ago, and the Supreme Court. I thought their job was to interpret law, not create law. And some folks are looking at that decision that they made as creating something that a lot of people don't agree with for religious reasons, let's say. But here's the thing that's troublesome for me. Whether I agree with that, with a lifestyle, I'm not judging them. I'm not judging anyone,
right? Because
I'm not that wise,
right?
So what do? The Bible says you gotta love them. You love them, and so I say love them, love people,
right?
Because we're all imperfect. So with that right there, man, I try to look at it from a spiritual standpoint, and like I said, I'm not judging anyone, and so I'm trying to do what I'm doing. Right. If someone asks my opinion about it, I will give it.
Which my opinion can never be any other than, well, spiritually speaking, and I believe in the scriptures and what it says.
Right.
The Bible says don't do that.
Right.
And that's my opinion.
Now check this out. But check this out. Check this out. The Bible also says you don't lie. You don't gossip. Yeah? You don't covet. See, we get into things where we want to categorize things. Well, I'm not as bad as old Jimmie Moore. I don't do that.
Right.
As soon as I talk to you, I get on the phone and start gossiping. Well, what does the Bible say about that? I mean, there's no categorizing things like that.
Here's another one. Man, I think Richard Abraham is a super guy, man. Or really, well, let me tell you something I know.
Yeah.
You know, why?
Yeah, we all get caught up, man. We get caught up. And the challenge is not to.
What about the separation of church and state? I mean, that's in there somehow or another, ain't it?
Yeah, look, explain to me how that got so twisted. Because when I check this thing out, separation of church and state means like the state, let's say the government, cannot create a state religion that says all of you guys got to go to this church. Now, how did that get so twisted that you can't pray before a ball game? Yeah. I mean, are you serious?
Yeah, it's wild.
And that thing is quoted all the time, and people are like, well, church and state. What are you reading? How are you interpreting that, meaning that, anyway.
Which brings us to mind. I read in the newspaper last Sunday, I think. I'm not supposed to date things, am I? Anyway, it said this one church somewhere had decided that they would do same-sex marriages. Mm-hmm. And the pastor of the church said, after much scriptural study, biblical study, mm-hmm. and prayer, mm-hmm. the board have agreed mm-hmm. that we will perform these marriages. Mm-hmm. And it messed me up for a minute. I thought, wait a minute, biblical study, what did I miss? And I text my pastor, mm-hmm. I called a first cousin of mine who's a minister, mm-hmm. and maybe one other person, I don't know, am I missing something? What are they reading here? And it's like the Lord said, Jimmie, leave that alone. It's not in there, brother.
Well, you know, we make our own decisions, and we do what we feel we need to do.
No, we don't, Richard. We're supposed to do what the thing says do.
Yeah. But
that's
I mean, there's a lot of folks that look at scripture and they're like, well, what version is that?
Yeah, exactly.
The Richard Abraham version, King James version, new Holy Sanctified version.
It's a story that some guy sit down or inspired to be written that somebody wrote. And all this content and everything is somebody created it.
Right.
I want to meet that guy. I want to know him, whoever it was that started this. I'm going to move.
All right, let's move.
Rebel flag.
Rebel flag.
Thought came to me this morning, this very morning.
Uh-huh.
This flag represents our struggle to maintain our way of life, our heritage, mm-hmm. our this, our that. Mm-hmm. What is it you lost? If you lost the war, and you're fighting to maintain these things, mm-hmm. what did you lose? Do you still have these things? Do you still live as you want to live? Do you practice what you point? Do all the traditions and da-da-da-da-da-da?
Right.
What did you fight?
Yeah, well, that's a good point. My take on it is this. Let that flag fly, man. Leave those Stonewall Jackson, all those, leave them alone. Because here's the thing. It's a slippery slope. Yeah. When you start taking down flags and you start taking down statues, then what's next? Hey, that music you listen to, man, it's degrading women. Can't listen to it no more. Right. So, I mean, you got to be careful right there. And we get all caught up. We get caught up in it. Next thing you might, well, you know what? That American flag right there? Mm-mm.
Exactly.
No, I don't. That causes me pain of what it did to my Native American brothers. So you gotta take that down, man. So what? Mount Rushmore? No, take all that down.
Touche.
So I'm like, so you gotta be. It's a slippery slope. I'm like, let it fly. Now, if I want to protest against it, peacefully assembling, I can do that.
Exactly.
Right.
I used to say this about atheists. And I think it applies to along the lines, I'm mm-hmm. not sure. If you don't believe in something or whatever, why do you spend time being bothered with it, about it,
right.
fighting it? If you simply don't believe in it,
right.
It seems like it does not exist to you. But
well, Ben Carson has a couple of books, and I've been reading, and he talked about just sitting down like this and having a conversation.
Yeah.
Not yelling, not screaming, just have a conversation. Now, at the end of the conversation, we may not agree, but if we really listen to each other, we learn something.
Exactly.
We learn something.
Yeah.
But so many times, man, if you're not feeling what I'm saying, I'm talking, and you're not listening, you want me to hurry up and shut up so you can tell me what's on your mind.
You're already formulating.
And so we miss so much information, man. And I think if we just have a sit down, relax, Let's talk about something reasonably. And at the end of the day, if we don't agree, we don't agree.
There are people who talk, who have conversations, and there are debaters.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's a time for debate. There's a time for debate.
Well, I agree, but the whole point is, okay, you be for this and you be against this.
Right.
And no matter what you talk about, this person is going to take the pro or the con or whatever, however that works. And that's their whole purpose, is to make you wrong, whether you are or not.
Right.
Whether they believe what they say or not.
There's agendas out there.
Well, yeah.
So, but, you know, my deal is when we go in and talk about a particular issue, I know what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, I know what areas I don't want to get into.
We got 3 minutes.
We got 3 minutes. Yeah. That's a lifetime, man.
Look, we can roll a whole. Okay, I've thrown a few out.
Okay.
Can you throw me something?
Okay. Okay. We just brokered a deal with Iran, man.
I saw a cartoon in the newspaper, man. It had the president and the Ayatollah guy over there shaking hands, and the president was saying, "We're going to trust you to do what you say," and the Ayatollah guy was saying, "Death to America."
See, this is what now. This is just street level. Let's talk street level politics here for a minute. Okay. Now, ever since we've lived next door to each other, you know that I do not like you or your family. I've tried to burn your house down 3 times, right? So you're gonna come over and you go, you know, your wife and your kids are saying, "Daddy, why are you going over there and want to talk to that man?" No, I think this is gonna help. So you're gonna go and say, "Listen, okay, I'm not gonna allow you to have gasoline for 90 days. Hopefully we can broker some kind of relationship, right? Now, after 90 days, you can have all the gasoline you want." And the whole time you're saying, "Good, you good?" And the whole time I'm saying, "Death to Jimmie Moore," right? Right. I mean, man, most folks, I don't understand that. And when you look at that real quick, when you look at that, there's quite possibly a situation could happen where Israel will attack Iran, and within that agreement, we will defend Iran against. I'm like, okay, you know what? Stop. Hold up a minute.
I've always said, if somebody stuck a mic in my face and said, "How do you think the president's doing? What do you think about the president's job?" I would say, "I'm sorry, I can't make that call. I don't know what he does. I don't know how he does it. I don't know why he does it. I would not have the job, could not do the job, and I know it. So maybe I shouldn't make that call. But I think. Yeah. I know how to think.
Right.
And reason.
Right.
I got a dash, man.
All right, man. Always good.
It's always good.
Always good.
Thanks, man.
Hey, we'll do it again sometime.
Whatever. If you attend a church or belong to a congregation that says we are it, we are all, we are everything, you might want to read some more scriptures. I don't recall no church names in the scriptures nowhere. You?
No.
For Minority Focus, I'm Jimmie Moore.